What's up, brother? It is Thursday, April 11th. I love that trend. Do you
Check
like it?
Tuesday. Check
Yeah,
Tuesday. I
special
love
teams,
sketch.
special plays, special players. I think it's very funny. And like, I'm not even a Twitch guy. I just saw the video and I was like, you know what? This is totally a guys being dudes thing. So I'm going to get fully into it. So if you ever see me in Indianapolis, just hit me with the finger up. What's up, brother? Just baseball show Thursday, April 11th. As always, it's presented by BetMGM, Jack and Peter. I want to talk about Jackson Holiday getting the call. That is the story in baseball right now. Also, Tyler freaking Glasnow take about 14 punchouts on Tuesday night. He looked dominant. I do want to mention reliever volatility because we saw a bad outing from David Bednar. Credit to Rowdy Tellez for being a good teammate. Post game in the clubhouse, Reed Detmers, Shea Langoliers, and then I've got a question that I got to throw at Peter. Dude, I mean, we're in like a full swing. I woke up this morning. I was like, I wonder what we're going to talk about. And then I remembered last night, right before I went to bed, I saw the passing bomb. And I was like, you know what? We've got stuff to talk about. This is baseball season. This is what baseball season is supposed to feel like.
We have plenty of baseball to talk about, and I appreciate you calling me my name instead of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, what's going on with you?
For everybody who is watching on YouTube, I have a pimple in my nostril. It's worse than death. It's worse than death. So
So,
credit to me for making it through this.
have you ever had the inner ear one?
The worst, but the nose, it's just clogging me. It's disgusting. It's a
You know what?
podcast injury. It's a podcast injury, and I'm
You know
feeling
what
it.
you look like? You look like you know those animated Kleenex commercials? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You know, with like the irritated nose. I'll send you this after the fact, but Kleenex had this like series where they had an animated little kid who had a red nose and then he would blow his nose and then it was on red and all that. But before we get into this, very exciting. We have a new partnership with a brand that I've been a fan of for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm excited to share an opportunity with you guys. And it's in the ticketing space. We're really excited for our relationship with Game Time starting now. And we've all found ourselves in a situation that's somewhat similar to this, I'm sure. You see that there's a great pitching matchup you're willing to drive an hour or two for. I remember AJ Smith-Shawver threw in Cincinnati last year, and I was like, do I go? Do I go? That's when Ellie De La Cruz hit for the cycle. It was a freak. It was amazing. Um, I was willing to drive, or like a concert that popped up out of nowhere on you in New York. I'm sure you've run into that too. So you go scanning for tickets. There's roadblocks everywhere. No good deals, nothing at the last minute. Fees are kicking your ass. List goes on. Let's fix that for you. New friend of the show again is Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, their lowest price guarantee. Game Time, it fully takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I've had a great time with Game Time. We've got a rain out in Indy. Pacers are playing that night. I can pop into the app. I can choose a seat. I can view the vantage point. I can like kind of scroll and see what I'm going to be seeing, and I can grab the ticket within 60 seconds. Maggie Rogers is coming to town beginning of June. I'm a huge Maggie Rogers guy. I can get concert tickets on Game Time. Maybe Bryson Tiller at the end of June. I don't know. I don't know if I'll have time, but I can get that. I can even get minor league baseball tickets. I get paid to go to Indianapolis Indians games, but you can pay to come to an Indianapolis Indians game on Game Time. Use Game Time for last minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, list goes on. Yes, you get a lowest price guarantee and panoramic seat views, but my favorite thing is the all-in pricing. There's this toggle that you can set in your profile. I turn all-in pricing on, so you see the price that you're getting into instead of getting to check out and it's like, holy smokes, how many fees are there? I'm paying a fee for what? Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code JUSTBASEBALL, all caps, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code JUSTBASEBALL, all caps, JUSTBASEBALL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. It's a great app.
I've been using Game Time for a while now, and I love the price drop because everybody wants to get their tickets early and you think that you're beating the market. And sometimes that is the case, but more often than not, seats open up as it gets closer to game time. So for a procrastinator like me, Game Time is perfect. I just used Game Time when I went to Yankees versus Blue Jays. I might give credit to Game Time because the Yankees absolutely pissed all over Kevin Gausman. Genuinely, use code JustBaseball. You want that $20 off your first purchase. It's a no-brainer. Go check it out in the episode description.
Get out to Camden Yards and see their new second baseman, the consensus #1 prospect in the game, Jackson Holliday, just got the call. Jackson Holliday is officially a Baltimore Oriole. 10 games with the Norfolk Tides this year.
You
He
see what he
slashed
did?
333, 482, 595. That's a 1077 OPS, 5 doubles, 2 homers, 9 driven in, walked 12 times in 10 games. Jackson Holliday is up. Corresponding move is they DFA'd Tony Kemp. The funniest part out of all this is Jackson Holliday was 6th on Norfolk's team in OPS at 1077. Heston Kjerstad had 24 driven in his first 8 games. Like, this team is unheard of. Norfolk gets a little bit worse, but Baltimore gets a lot of bit better.
So I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I do know how to do 24 divided by 8. It's 3 RBIs a game for Heston Kjerstad.
Yeah, I think so. I'll pull up the exact number as it stands right now, 10 games in. Heston Kjerstad at this point with AAA Norfolk has 25 driven in 10 games. So, division, 2.5 RBIs a game.
What should Orioles fans expect from Jackson Holliday?
Yeah, that's a good
Because
question.
it's a good question because it's like, all right, this is the top prospect coming up. I'm sure most people think he's instantly going to hit 50 home runs and be the MVP, but obviously it's going to take him a little while to get going. This still is the major leagues. Now there's 30-year-olds who are currently playing that are not nearly as sexy, but they have gone through the grind and understand baseball, and that's what makes him a veteran. This is a really young kid. The Orioles didn't start him on the major league roster for a reason, but now they've decided to call him up. I also thought it was weird timing. And Aram kind of talked about the timing on his Twitter, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But first, can you answer the question, what should Orioles fans expect from Jackson Holliday in 2024?
That's a great question.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah. In 2023, Jackson Holliday hit 323 with a 442 on base percentage.
Like, he's not going to do that. That was his triple.
Don't expect that. Yeah, don't expect that. That was 14 games in low A, 57 in high A, 36 in double, 18 in triple.
Mm.
Jackson Holliday is the kind of guy, and we just talked about this on the call up. He is the type of guy that I think can hit the ground running, but there is still maturation that is going to happen at the major league level. He just turned 20. He's 6.5 years younger than the league average hitter in AAA. He turned 20 years old on December 4th. So he's 20 in 128 days when he got the call. 300 or 320 with a 440 OBP is not in the cards this year. But you know what is 280 with a 380 OBP. This guy's going to walk. He has as mature of an approach as you will ever see from a 20-year-old. And you have to credit some of that to Pops. You have to credit some of that to the baseball upbringing. You have to credit a lot of that, the overwhelming majority of that, to him as a hitter that is very comfortable with who he is. He's not going to play short. Gunner's going to play short. Holliday is a guy that is going to hit the ball out at opportunistic times. He's not going to be a guy where you blink and all of a sudden he's at 20 to 25 homers this year. I think he's going to be like
Gunner
15.
has more power, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Gunner has more power.
So Holliday's more going to be a doubles hitter. Like, do you think maturation-wise, this might not be the best comp, but just from hearing you talk, hearing Aram talk about him, is a Jose Ramirez bat comp fair? There's a lot of stolen bases there. There's definitely some home runs, but he just sprays them all over the ballpark. He's got a good eye. Is that accurate, or am I an idiot?
So I enjoy where your head is at. I really
That was
do.
the nicest way to turn me down. Thank you.
No. Like I really like where your head is at. Problem is Jose Ramirez hit 39 homers in 2018. Holliday's never gonna do that.
Never say never.
He's never gonna do that.
Never say
He's
never.
Never gonna hit 39 homers in a year. What I think you can expect from Holliday. So J Ram on a per 162 basis is a 280 hitter with a 350 OBP, 27 homers, 25 backs. What I think you can expect from Holiday is if all goes according to plan, like batting titles, like Trey Turner level batting titles, like 315, 320.
Really?
Dude, it's one of the best hit tools in the minor leagues.
No, I agree. I'm not
And
debating you. I'm
yeah,
just listening.
no, and you pair that with elite plate discipline, it's probably 15, maybe 20 homers. And again, I'm talking 100th percentile outcome. I think the realistic outcome for a guy like Holiday is 290 to 300. He might bring hitting 300 back. Homers will be in the 15 range, but he'll be an opportunistic base stealer. He'll be a high efficiency 25 bags a year, and he's going to play really good defense at second base. And if he's hitting 300, he's going to get on base at a 400 clip.
Yeah, I mean, now he vaults up to some of the best second basemen in Major League Baseball. At a
Yeah,
very young
and
age.
he's one of the best leadoff hitters in all of baseball if he's doing that.
Can we talk about service time? Aram wrote on Twitter yesterday, and I quote, might be another example of prospect promotion incentive, labeled PPI, doing what it was supposed to. The Orioles were a few days from gaining that extra year of service. Instead, they call him up within the barrier to earn draft compensation if Holiday finishes top 2 in AL Rookie of the Year. So, the Orioles decided to call up Jackson Holiday 2 days before, because if they had called him up 2 days after, right, they wouldn't have gotten the draft pick. How does that work? You explain it to me.
So the joke I made was that they saw Evan Carter go hitless in his first 5 games and said, wait, like we got to make sure we get the pick because he is going to finish second. It's a weird threshold, and we're coming up. I think it's this Saturday or Sunday where you hit the threshold to accrue a full year of big league service time if you were not a 40-man roster guy at the beginning of the year. So Holiday would have had to be up by Saturday in order to get that full year of service time. So the way that like the Cubs had Chris Bryant down until that deadline passed and then brought him up, that's how they kind of rang the towel dry as 7 years of Chris Bryant as opposed to 6. That was not going to happen with Holiday. We thought it was. It didn't. And the benefit to doing it now is he is going to accrue a full year of service time. If Jackson Holiday came up after that Saturday or Sunday threshold for that full year, and he still finished first or second in AL Rookie of the Year voting, he would have gotten a full year of service because that was agreed in the last CBA. It's like, hey, that's your reward for finishing first or second. And the team wouldn't have gotten a draft pick. But they were incentivized to bring him up because they think that if he does, and it is true, if he does finish first or second in American League Rookie of the Year voting, then they get a draft pick to show for it because they were the nice guys that brought him up to get him that full year of service.
Before we move on to our next topic, do you think the Orioles made the right decision? And then follow it up with, do you think he finishes top 2 in American League Rookie of the Year voting?
The Orioles made the right decision because they are now getting closer to putting the best possible product on the field.
You don't think Ramon Urias at third?
So Kemp got DFA'd. Tony Kemp off the roster and Urias downgrading from pretty much an everyday role to a bench role is how they get better.
Yes.
Jordan Westburg is really struggling. I think Jordan Westburg is a very good player. If I were in Mike Elias's shoes and I was trying to put the best possible team on the field, my infield assortment would look like this. What they got going on at first base, O'Hearn's been hitting. The moment O'Hearn stops hitting, and I don't know if that's ever going to come because O'Hearn had a good year last year too. If O'Hearn ever stops hitting, you make the move and go get Kjerstad. And Kjerstad and Mountcastle are your platoon first baseman. Holiday is your second baseman. Gunnar Henderson is your shortstop. Instead of Westburg at third, Kobe Mayo is the better option at third base. Mayo's sitting in Norfolk. Mayo is tearing the cover off the ball right now. Mayo should be playing third base, and Westburg turns into a utility guy. That is the best alignment for the Baltimore Orioles. They're not doing it, but they are getting closer to the best possible alignment for the Baltimore Orioles.
Holy shit, that infield.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
as a Yankee fan, I'm staring at that. That is very scary.
And you've got a club option on O'Hearn after this year, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be pretty much Kerstad of Mountcastle, Holiday, Gunner, Mayo. And then you've got Basayo not far behind with Adley catching.
Yeah, let's move on from them. That's giving me nightmares. That's too much. That's too much for me to fathom right now.
So let's go to another guy that gives a lot of people nightmares. Tyler Glasnow.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable is a fair word. I know we say that all
Yes.
the time, but 7 innings, 3 hits, 14 punch outs. I think at one point he had 6 in a row. There was a strikeout that I loved against Willie Castro. 0-2, fastball down the middle. Swung right under it. Had no shot. He was throwing it middle. A lot of the curveballs that he was throwing, these sliders, middle. Couldn't touch it. Now, he was better with his location. There was plenty of, backdoor curveball sliders, whatever that pitch is. I don't even know how it's. I think on Savant, it's like a curveball, but it's 85. I mean, I don't know how you adjust to this guy. And it was his first 7-inning shutout with 14 Ks since 2021. And of course, he's doing it right now with the Dodgers.
So he had a 50% whiff rate on his slider. He got 12 swings, 6 whiffs. He had a 50% whiff rate on his curveball and that power curve at 85. 6 swings, 3 whiffs. He got 25 swings on his 4-seam fastball. What do you think the whiff rate was? Normal whiff rate for a fastball is like 15%.
I think he had a 40% whiff rate on the fastball.
48.
It was by everybody. I mean, watch the whole start. There was, we could talk about whiff rates. We could talk about all this stuff, and it puts it into context to see how much swing and miss he was truly getting. Anyone who turned on the TV, I'm surprised whiff rates aren't higher. I mean, Austin Martin did get his first hit of his career. Shout out Austin Martin.
Yeah, shout out Austin Martin.
I think that was the only real hit I saw all game. They had no shot. They had no shot. He bullied them. He made them into mincemeat.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, 21 whiffs in all. Like 25 swings, 12 whiffs, a 48% whiff rate on the fastball is hard for me to.
He's the Cy Young front runner, and I feel good about it. I bet him too because I was like, as long as he stays healthy, he has as good a stuff as anybody in Major League Baseball. He is now the ace of the Los Angeles Dodgers, dominating.
He made the Twins look like morons. He was sitting 96 at 2,600 RPMs with his 4-seam fastball. He was sitting 91 with his slider, and he was sitting 85 with that curveball. He's like, not to mention, he's releasing it from 30 feet away from the hitter. It's insane.
You know what my favorite part of the start was, besides obviously watching him throw middle fastballs and having guys swing right under them? Joe Davis. He felt like a little boy watching a superhero movie. This is overwhelming. This is, I was like, that was one of the first times I've seen, because Joe Davis, he's a great guy in the booth and he breaks down things beautifully and he's always very grounded, walks every fan who's listening to the game, whether it's high level, a casual fan, he's great for everybody. He had a little bit of Peter Apple in him where he's watching the games and just giggling, just like giddy. There was the first time this season I heard Joe Davis do that. And I don't really remember it a ton last season too. And that's what Tyler Glasnow does. Because when Tyler Glasnow is on, he looks like Superman. And this is why whenever you see top 10 pitchers at the beginning of every single year, it's kind of like the Buxton effect for pitchers, where it's so unbelievably talented and so overwhelming. And those same word Joe Davis used, overwhelming. So much talent, so much thump, that you just don't know how to explain it with words. Words don't do it justice unless you just start freaking out and screaming. Yeah. And that's what Joe Davis did. And that's the true sign of the most dominant start of the year so far, outside, of course, of Ronel Blanco's no-hitter.
Yeah, I mean, dude, sometimes that's all you can do. And I appreciate Joe Davis not trying to be something that the moment didn't demand. Like, he was just doing all that you could do.
He was a little boy. Yeah. Glasnow reduced him to a little boy, and it was my favorite ever call from Joe Davis.
I know it's very fun when people that have like such a high standard and set such a high standard for themselves are just like, this is fucking sick.
This
Like
is amazing.
that's pretty much what happened in a way that didn't violate FCC rules. Like absolutely amazing. And then, oh, by the way, Bobby Miller started on Wednesday, off day Thursday, and Yamamoto gets the ball Friday. Welcome to the Dodger experience. By the way, Walker Buehler throws again this weekend.
They definitely have the best record in baseball, right? It's not the team in New York, is it? No way. The
Hey,
Yankees.
the White Sox got to win. They're 2-9.
Hey, how about that? So did the A's beat the Rangers?
Hey, the Marlins lost though. They're 1-11.
What a shame.
What a shame.
What a shame.
Against the 10-2 Yankees.
Can we talk
Ryan
about Shea
Weathers and Stroman.
Langeliers? How about that? We'll go from Tyler Glasnow to Shea Langeliers.
That's
Equally as impressive. 3 jacks. How about it, Shea Langeliers? We talked about catchers a couple episodes ago, and buy or sell with Logan O'Hoppe, and I talked about buy or sell with William Contreras as well. And Aram sold, so I asked Aram, buy or sell. William Contreras leads the league in FWAR among the catcher's position for the second straight year because he's ahead. And Aram was giving William Contreras his flowers, but he said there's too many good young catchers in the game. And we didn't really talk about Shea Langeliers, even though he well deserves a seat at that table. I know it's the A's. You probably didn't watch the game anyway, but I did. And he was the only guy doing anything in that entire lineup, and he was the reason that they beat the Rangers. This is a good young catcher. Now, the A's, they get fleeced a lot, but getting Langeliers was a big piece for them. And he's probably going to be the only actual good piece that they got in any of their trades. He's the catcher of the future. He's going to Vegas. Really big fan of his.
So they got Langeliers in the Matt Olson deal from Atlanta. The Atlanta Braves, at one point, viewed William Contreras and Shea Langeliers as the future catchers of the Atlanta Braves. And Sean Murphy's been a dog this year.
Even Travis d'Arnaud is just like
They
their
can-
backup. Travis d'Arnaud is like a top 15 catcher.
Alex Anthopoulos can do no wrong. He traded a great young catcher in Shea. He traded a great young catcher in William Contreras, and he got a great young catcher in Sean Murphy. It's amazing. And Foolish Baseball put out a funny tweet before that 3-homer game. Shea Langeliers WRC plus before tonight's game 61. Shea Langeliers WRC plus after tonight's game 165. So an 104-point jump in OPS. Welcome to early season baseball.
That's what happens when you hit 3 jacks.
Yep. Bingo.
Shea Langeliers. And I don't want to talk about how Alex Anthopoulos is this incredible GM. Let's talk about the damn Oakland A's for a second. The Sacramento A's / the Las Vegas A's.
They're just the A's or the Athletics. They said no city attached to them moving forward.
Is that true?
The Athletics. Yep. When they're in Sacramento, it's not the Sacramento A's or the Oakland A's. It's the A's or the Athletics.
I can get behind that.
I
Sort of.
can't.
Actually, that's weird as shit. Now that
There's no identity
I don't like
there.
that either.
I'm out. Who do you play for? Oh, I play for Kansas City. Who do you play for? The A's.
The A's.
Where are you flying to? I can't tell you.
Can't tell you. My
But I
owner will
play
get
for the A's.
pissed. My owner will get upset with me if I tell you where we are.
Yes.
And then they're surprised when they have 700 people roll up to the stadium. Not
Okay.
A's fans' fault, ownership fault.
All right. Within the first month of next season, buy or sell. The Sacramento River Cats outdraw the Oakland A's for a game.
Aren't they at the same? They're at the same
They're at the
complex?
same ballpark. But when the A's go
You
on the
know
road,
why?
the River Cats are home.
I bet because A's fans are smart and they keep doing all these protests. I bet they sell out a Sacramento River Cats game and then don't go to the A's game. So I'm buying it.
I'm buying it too. I like that
I
spin zone.
love
By the
A's
way,
fans. They're so petty and they're so smart.
speaking of buy or sell, Aram said you forgot the Padres.
I forgot the Padres. Should
Do
we
you
do it right
have
now?
one? Yeah, do it. Do you have
So
one?
buy or sell San Diego Padres. Jackson Merrill puts up a higher F4 this season than Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado. And I know it sounds crazy, right? No,
Yeah.
of course not. I'm selling that. Jackson Merrill's playing really good defense in center, which matters. Remember, WAR accumulation. Machado's been barely playing third at all, and he can't hit the ball.
He's been
Xander
hurt.
Bogaerts is now playing second base, so that's not going to help him either. And his bat hasn't been great either. Remember, WAR accumulation. I don't know if I'm buying it, but it's more about highlighting Jackson Merrill, who could win Rookie of the Year for the San Diego Padres this season.
Yeah, I'm selling it because Bogarts and Machado were both $300 million baseball players, but
So what?
Merrill's very fun.
So what?
Ha-Sung Kim's going to lead the team in F4.
No, I know that. I'm saying Merrill
Yeah,
over Bogarts
I
and
know.
Machado.
I know. I'm taking Xander for sure. And Machado, I'm taking Machado.
Maybe I'm buying it a little bit too early, but I love the way he operates in at bat. He's a Peter Vision guy.
Talk about a Jack Vision guy, and he might
Mm.
becoming a Peter Vision guy.
Mm.
Reed Detmers, Doc. Reed Detmers looks nasty. He's been fun in the early goings, and he's been punching out the world. He hasn't really been walking anybody at all. I'm pulling up the line from Monday night. Was it for Reed?
I mean, I watched it. It was 6 innings, 10 Ks. I don't know the exact line, but he was dicing.
I think it might have been Sunday. Saturday, yes. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 12 Ks.
12 Ks.
Detmers, I mean, he is establishing himself as a frontline guy. And you feel like he's been around for a long time. He's 24 years old, man. He got up real quick after going in the top 10 of that 2020 draft.
Yeah, I mean, he has tons of talent. It's just I feel like we've seen this from Detmers before, right? We watch him strike out the world. I'm going back to 2023, like early on in the year against the Twins. He had a 5 2/3 outing. He did give up 3 runs, but he punched out 12 earlier on in the season. He dominated. He had a start against the White Sox last year, 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 10 Ks. But then it just seems to fall off a little bit. It's been a little bit too inconsistent. But then again, you have to mention the age. He's been doing this as a 22-year-old, 23-year-old. And it's not like the Angels are helping him in the pitching development department. When's the last time they produced a good pitcher? Jared Weaver? John Lackey? It's been a little while, right? I don't think he's getting much from the Angels pitching staff. Ask Angels fans, how's your pitching coach doing? You probably don't like him very much, and for good reason. But if Detmers can continue this, and that's why I'm not buying in, because we've seen this before, right, Jack? We've seen the great outings with a ton of strikeouts, and then he gets bombed a little bit. But if this is a start at age 24 and he's finally kind of starting to find that breaking ball and the fastball velo looks good and he's commanding the baseball, that's when we start to see a frontline guy. But I'm hesitant to buy in because this happens every year,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I think the maturation process has been a real thing, and I think that he's going to continue to mature at the major league level. I just want to run you through a list of guys that he's younger than that have debuted since Reed Detmers has debuted. He's younger than Davis Schneider with the Blue Jays. Find that to be interesting. He's younger than Heston Kjerstad. He's younger than Esteury Ruiz. He's younger than Jordan Westberg. Sneaky that Isaac Paredes is younger than Jordan Westberg. He's younger than Mackenzie Gore. He's younger than Casey Schmidt, than Tanner Bybee, than Oswaldo Cabrera, than Max Meyer, Austin Martin, Bobby Miller. It's crazy. He's like gonna hit free agency when he's like a toddler. It's amazing to see how this guy has developed. And like the thing is, sorry to cut you off, but I mean, the thing that we forget about pitching is these guys change until they're like 27, 28 years old. And for the most part, like what kind of guy you're getting. But Detmers has been up and trying to figure himself out in a way that so many other guys go level by level. And it's like, hey, yeah, he's 23 years old. He's got time to figure it out in AAA. He was 23 years old and like he was looking like damaged goods last year for the Angels because hey man, you were already in year 2. Like, let's figure this shit out. I don't know. The fact that he's really coming into his own now at 24 years old, I think this guy can be really good for a really long time and develop into one of the better left-handers in the American League.
He's rocking a 45% strikeout rate right now. It's pretty damn good.
Easy.
You've talked with Reed Detmers before. I think you've had multiple interviews with him, right? What do you think about his mindset behind pitching?
So we talked during COVID on a little like splinter podcast that I was doing. And my favorite thing that I'll take from that is, yes, he's in the business of out accumulation and run prevention, but his thing was, I want to have 3 different speeds. I want to have a fastball, I want to have my curveball, and I want to have something in between. And I want to be able to go to 3 different speeds at any time. And you see that when he's on the hill. And he's got the breaking stuff that'll make pitching ninja, but I mean, this dude's figuring out a way to throw hard, man. And he was analyzing himself on video before really anybody else was. Like he was a high school kid throwing up the iPad, and there really weren't many high school kids, especially in the Midwest, that were doing that when he was out on the Cape. He was the one guy that was videoing every single one of his bullpens. He's a diligent worker, and I think he approaches pitching in a simple way, but a layered way, if that makes any sense.
It makes a ton of sense. And just quantifying what you talked about with the different speeds, averaging 94.3 miles an hour on the fastball this year, same as last year, 85.7 miles an hour on the slider, which is actually down from last year. He took a little bit off that slider, and right now, it's generating a much higher whiff rate than it did last year. And the curveball is still at 75. So he basically goes 95, 85, 75. And when he's throwing that in all different directions, how are you going to adjust? That's what can make Reed Detmers great.
Yeah.
I love that he took a little bit off the slider. It's exactly kind of what you said, right? He wanted that exact separation, 10 miles an hour from everything, and he's got it. Very fascinating guy to follow. We've seen this before. We've also seen the lows. Can he maintain the highs more often this year? If he does, he will be a top left-handed pitcher in the American League because the stuff is that good and he's that cerebral.
If you were a betting man, do you think he does put together the most consistent year of his career?
Yes, because you can tell the maturation process is happening. The
Yeah.
reason why I'm a little bit hesitant to buy in right now is because we've seen this before. So I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon. But it's hard to deny what he looks like so far and to get off to such a hot start like that. And especially like he looked great against the Orioles, right? It's one thing if you got a good start against the A's. When you have a good start against the Orioles, I'm going to start taking notice. He looks more confident on the mound. So I'm starting to buy in. I'm not quite there yet. I have to see a little bit more.
Got you. One more thing I want to hit before you play a guessing game with me. Reliever volatility is totally here. And
Yeah.
there are some guys that have looked amazing. Jason Foley is now the closer for the Detroit Tigers. He's just better than Lang at this point because he's throwing sinkers at 101 and nobody's touching it. Michael Kopech just hit 102 out of the White Sox bullpen. Like, we're back and relievers are here, but some are falling off. And this should remind you of the reliever shelf life. And do I think these guys are off to bad starts? And do I think that they can still be top 15 relievers in the game? Absolutely. But what we've seen from two closers in the National League Central is pretty concerning. David Bednar is a guy that has struggled. And David Bednar has now blown 3 saves. He's had 4 opportunities. He's got 1 save under his belt. Last outing against Detroit was really bad. Got 1 out, 3 hits, 4 runs because he walked 1 and he hit 2 batters. Before that, an inning, 2 hits, a run. Before that, it was a 1-2-3 inning with a couple of punch outs. But before that, you had an inning, a run, a homer. This is not the Bednar that has been the expectation in Pittsburgh the last 2 years. I think that's why PNC Park booed him. You shouldn't do that because he's been an all-star for you the last 2 years.
Multiple time all-star.
Yeah, like that was a bad look. And I thought Rowdy Tellez did a great job coming to, his side and letting Pittsburgh know that he's a multi-time all-star.
Look at Pirates fans right now. You're getting a little fat and happy with a couple of wins. Now you're just going to start booing your closer.
Booing your all-star, your 2-time all-star closer.
See, that's why people always rip on Phillies fans and Yankee fans and, fans of these teams that are booing guys. As soon as you guys get good, you're doing the same shit. So don't give me that anymore. If Pirates fans are already doing it 10 games through the season, spare me with they always boo their players. So do you. So do you, all right, dickhead? You do.
What have you seen from Bednar that screams concern?
2 things, and they're backed up by the numbers. Number 1, command. That's what's so important because Bednar is always in the zone. Always. Bully ball. Fastballs at the top, breaking ball at the bottom. Really hard to adjust. His command has not been there. He's been nibbling. And sometimes just straight up missing his spot. The way I watch the catcher. Where is he setting up? And then where's the ball going? It's not nearly as precise as it usually is. Number 2, I think guys are sitting on the fastball because there's no real drop in velo, no real drop in spin. But I think they're saying to themselves, if I see a breaking ball, I'm not going to swing at it. And because those breaking balls aren't in the zone, guys are sitting dead red fastball and fucking punishing it. Opponents are hitting over 400 against his fastball. That shouldn't be ever real against David Bednar. It's 96 with vert, putting it wherever he wants. So when the command is not there, guys say, I'm going to sit dead red fastball and make you throw it in the zone. That's sometimes what can get Blake Snell in trouble, even though there's a starter and then there's a reliever. So those are the two things. Now, if he starts commanding that breaking ball better, you're going to have to respect that. Then you won't be on time to the fastball. And then he's back to David Bednar. That's why I'm really not that worried. I think he's just, I think he looks just kind of off right now.
Rusty, well, and he was dealing with a lat issue all spring, so I assume that like the lat is still playing a part. I mean, he
share
he
those
apparently-
thoughts when you watch him. Are you sharing the same thoughts as I am? Because that's what I see when I watch.
Yeah,
him.
I
But
see a guy.
You've seen more Pirates games than I have.
I see a guy that doesn't look like Bednar. I see David Bednar that like doesn't look like the guy he's looked like the last 2 years, and I think that is in part to him not being entirely healthy at this point. I'm not sure what the level of his health is, but he was not available on opening day. Like they went to extras and Jose Hernandez got the save on opening day in Miami. Your closer's not available on opening day because he's working his way back from a lat issue.
Yeah.
That makes me think that something is up. So with Bednar, I'm not that concerned. With the guy that we're about to talk about, I am concerned. But Bednar just seems like a guy that needs to get healthy and needs to hit the reset button. And I think that may come from 3-4 days off, maybe even a 7-day IL stint. I have no idea what's going to happen there. I'm with you. It feels like it's just the fastball right now.
Yeah.
And the thing that made Bednar last year is we were like 2 weeks from the All-Star break and he walked a guy, maybe hadn't walked a guy yet. I think it was like 30 punch outs, 1 walk to open up his 2023 season. Him spraying was never on my bingo card. And I don't think a healthy David Bednar ever sprays.
I totally agree with you. And I think this David Bednar conversation is a perfect example of why relievers are so volatile because it's a very thin margin, especially when you don't have multiple offerings.
And you try and tough it out because your job is so like you have no job security as a reliever.
No, exactly. I mean, Bednar probably does because he's been Pittsburgh's guy for a while now, but a guy who we're about to talk about he hasn't earned a ton yet, and now he's struggling. And Alexis Diaz
of the Cincinnati Reds. At this point, 5 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, 5 Ks, but 4 walks and 2 hit batsmen. Diaz, notable games, first game of the year on March 30th, or first outing of the year for him on March 30th. Got 1 out, allowed 3 runs on 2 hits, 2 walks, and a hit by pitch. But since then, man, I mean, last time out, it was an inning and he didn't allow a run, but no Ks. He walked 1 and he hit 1. It's the command that's like getting me with Diaz. And his brother, when his brother's right, he's dotting his 2 pitches. Alexis just is not dotting his 2 pitches. And Edwin looks fucking nails for the Mets right now. Alexis does not look like it.
Alexis Diaz is effectively wild, normally. Always walks a walk rate around 12%. This year it's 16. It's not as effective anymore when it's upwards of 16%. He's towing a fine line there because you never know when it's going to be in the zone, but he's been in the zone enough to be very, very effective. And the fastball and slider combination are both very elite pitches. However, this year, like I said, the command hasn't really been there. So he's been kind of forced to put some of these pitches in the zone. And the 4-seamer, the whiff rate on that pitch cut in half. The slider, which was his most used pitch last year, he threw it 51% of the time. This year, 39%. Why? He's forced to throw more fastballs because he's not in the zone as much. So when Alexis Diaz is right, he's effectively wild. You never know when it's going to be in the zone, and then when it is in the zone, it's very tough to hit. But when he's just not in the zone, you wait on the fastball, and it's not like guys have been like killing it. The batting average against is 143, but the XWOB was 384. They're making solid contact, and some of it's landing, but it's really the slider that's been the issue. Now, the slider is garnering whiffs, but guys should never be hitting 273 off your slider, especially when you're a 2-pitch guy. So for him, I'm more nervous about him than I am Bednar because Bednar just looks off. Alexis Diaz has always been not a command guy, and now it's just getting worse. And his pitch mix is great, but sometimes I think Bednar's is a little bit more effective. That's why I think Bednar is going to bounce back. Why I am pretty worried about Alexis Diaz. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. No, let's go scale of 1 to 10. David Bednar, scale of 1 to 10. 10 being like, oh my God, get this guy off the active roster. 1 being, you're an all-star. Don't care.
3 for Bednar.
Okay, so I was gonna say 3 to 4, so 3.5 for Bednar, and I was gonna say 6 for Diaz.
I was going to say 5. 5 or 6. Agreed.
Okay.
Like
So
I'm
you're
not
3
I'm not I'm not selling anything right now, but I am more concerned about Alexis Diaz than I am David Bednar.
Yeah. Before we get to our little trivia question to wrap, you got to tell us about a friend of the show.
Absolutely. So we've talked about Outlier before, and the 7-day free trial in our episode description is still live. Why should you try it out? Well, number 1, I use it every single day. Number 2, Outlier is a sports betting decision assistant for aspiring, intermediate, and advanced sports bettors who understand that data is the foundation of a profitable sports betting strategy. Couldn't agree more. Outlier pairs hyper-contextual and relevant sports data with available betting markets to give you the best bets possible. Unlike traditional sports data sites like ESPN, Baseball Reference, whatever, Outlier organizes and visualizes the data for easy comprehension, efficient decision making, and immediate execution. That's what bettors want, and that's what they give you. Make sure to check out their first of its kind strike zone heat maps and pitch arsenal roundups that allow you to quickly visualize pitcher and batter matchups all in one screen. Exactly what I was using to compare David Bednar and Alexis Diaz. And all of that data is much more visually easy to find than it is on any other site. It's available on iOS, desktop, and mobile browsers. Get your free 7-day trial at outlier.bet/justbaseball. I'm telling you, try it out. If you don't like it, cancel. I tell that to everybody, right? If you don't want to spend the money and you don't find the value, just cancel. I highly recommend trying it out. And I'm not just saying that. I genuinely use it every single day for everything, more than just betting, right? So if you're not even a betting person, but you want a ton of data, it's a great area to go find it. So make sure, try out the 7-day link in our, try out the 7-day free trial in our episode description. If you don't like it, cancel. But my bet is you won't, because it's awesome.
It helped me not overthink Dan Hurley being a wagon on Monday night
There
for
you go.
UConn against Purdue. So is it going to help me figure out if Scott Drew's taking the Kentucky job? I have no idea.
No, I have no idea.
End with some trivia.
Ooh.
I've got the top 10 in total bases in Major League Baseball here, a stat that you couldn't find on the internet, huh?
It's so funny. So Jack sends me the what we're going to talk about for this episode. And I say, ooh, total bases. And it's in the morning. I'm doing my betting research. But I don't want to cheat. But I'm just looking on Fangraphs and I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I've ever looked at a total base leaderboard in my entire life. And then I'm on Baseball Savant. Same thing. There's no total bases there. So I thought, well, if I even wanted to cheat, I have no idea where to find him. I'm sure, I'm sure if I Googled total base leaderboard, I would be able to find it. But that's genuinely cheating. But I'm not even coming across it on Savant or Fangraphs. So I was like, all right, let's do it, because I don't know the total bases leaderboard, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best.
It's a great stat. I love it. It's a nice blend of how often do you get on base via base hits and how many homers do you hit, because the gist of total bases, if you don't know, is you get 1 for a single, 2 for a double, 3 for a triple, 4 for a homer. It's very simple, but like it's not on the standard stats of MLB.com. You have to go to expanded stats. I think it's a simple number. I think it's a really useful number. I just said, like, you look at MVP voting and you look at total base leaderboards, they're probably pretty similar. So I've got the top 10 here, and you could argue that these have been the 10 best hitters in Major League Baseball so far this year. So, Peter, who lines the top 10 in Major League Baseball in total bases entering play on Wednesday, April 10th?
All right, this might take me a while, but in my brain, I'm thinking about home run hitters for total bases. Mike Trout has to be up there.
Trout is fourth with 32 total bases. He's tied for third, actually.
Wow, interesting. Tyler O'Neill has to be up there.
Tyler O'Neill is 10th. He's got 29 total bases, 24 of which have come from his 6 homers.
Okay, now I'm going to go the opposite way. I feel like I watch this guy hit a single or a double every single AB these days. Stephen Kwan has to be on there.
Kwan is not.
What?
Because it only counts for one, man. Like, he could have 20 hits at this point, but that's
I know,
20
but
total bases.
he's hitting like 370. I bet Logan O'Hoppe is up there.
He's not.
What? All right. I mean, I've been watching the Astros pillage the baseball. Is Jordan up there? Has to be.
Jordan is tied for third with Mike Trout.
I mean, is Shea Langeliers on there now?
Shea is not at this point.
Okay. All right, I'm sticking with the Guardians. Is Jose Ramirez up there?
J Ram is not.
Huh. Who else? Soto, I think, walks too much. I don't think he's on there.
And walks don't count.
Yep. Is Volpe on there?
Volpe is not.
Who else is Michael Harris up there?
Michael Harris is not up there.
Is there
Stephen
a-
Kwan, by the way, at 25 total bases at this point.
Is it Brave on there?
There is one Brave on here.
Who
It's
is
not
Brave?
Matt Olson. Olson's
Is it
11th.
Albies?
It's not Albies.
Albies has been hitting the ball really well. Riley?
No.
What? I mean, it's not
Mar-
Acuna. He has not been hitting well.
Nope.
Oh, it's fucking Ozuna, isn't it?
It's Marcelo Zuna. He's tied for 5th with 31 total bases.
That's so disappointing. He's
mentioned
gonna
the
keep
Astros.
raking, isn't he?
You mentioned the Astros are pillaging baseballs.
Oh,
They've
so
got
I should
2
stay
in
on
the
there.
top 10.
Altuve's been
Jordan.
great. Altuve's got to be up there.
Altuve has 29. He's tied for 9th with Tyler O'Neill.
How many do I have so far?
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 10.
5 of the 10.
3 are on the same team.
Ohtani's on there.
Ohtani is second, entering play on Wednesday with 39.
Mookie is on there.
Mookie is number 1 with 40 total bases.
How am I forgetting Mookie and Ohtani, the obvious 1 and 2?
You're missing 5, 7, and 8.
5, 7, and 8. Is there anybody in the Centrals? Oh,
Yeah,
Bobby
there's
Witt Jr.
2.
Bobby Witt Jr.
Bobby
has to
Witt
be on
Jr.
there. Duh.
Bobby Witt Jr. is 8th. You're missing NL Central and NL West.
Is Michael Conforto on there?
No, Conforto is close, but he's not there.
He's been hitting really well. Anybody on the Diamondbacks? I don't think so.
Nope.
I don't think anybody on the Padres has been hitting that well.
Nope.
It's a Rocky?
Nope. It's
not
another Dodger.
It's another Dodger. You know what it is? You know how fucked up it's probably Teoscar Hernandez, isn't it?
It's Teoscar Hernandez. He's 5th
That's
in all of
so
baseball in total bases.
That's so messed up. All right.
And you're missing NL Central.
NL Central.
You're going to love this one.
Spencer Steer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spencer Steer.
I feel like I did pretty
31.
well. I feel like I did pretty well
You
there.
did
It
really
took me a
well.
little
You had a
while,
stretch of a bunch of no's before you got Mookie and Ohtani, and then you were like, wait, I need to stop overthinking this, and then you started to roll.
I can't believe I just didn't go to Mookie and Ohtani first, even though they've clearly been the 2 best.
Right. But
It's almost like they were too easy to guess, even though they're the answer.
bingo. All right, that was good, man. Plug the merch.
That was fun. Make sure to go get your Just Baseball merch. I'm always rocking my Just Baseball hat. Go get yours in the episode description. Guess what? For all those watching on YouTube, you think Jack's wearing Just Baseball merch? No. Bad guy. Bad person. Don't be like Jack McMullen. Go get yours.
To the core, I'm a
the core.
rotten person.
Go get yours in the episode description. If you are watching this on YouTube, hit that big red subscribe button. It's the button, not my nose, even though it kind of looks like the button. And if you could, rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's the best way to help this show without spending a dime. Rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts 5 stars, and we would love if you left a written review. Go check out that Game Time link. Go check out the Outlier link. And, of course, use code JustBaseball on BetMGM. We'll be back, the three of us, on Friday. For Jack McMullen, I am Peter Apple. And with that, thank you, everybody.